In today's Legal on 4, we have talked about prenups in the past. They're terribly unromantic, but can be very positive for later in life marriages. Now, today's question: how do you protect your assets from your new spouse's old debts? Our legal contributor, Craig Wisnam, joins us now to specifically look at the issue of protecting yourself against a debt that you did not incur. And that happens when you get married to someone. They inherit your debts and you inherit theirs, correct?
Well, certainly it becomes a lot more consolidated and intertwined. And normally separate debts would legally remain separate debts. But of course, once things start to get commingled together, and that's one thing that a premarital agreement can do, is help keep those things separate. Okay. So maybe it's a little more romantic because you and your spouse can be completely on the same side, and one of you may be saying, honey, I want to protect you from being responsible in any way for my debt. For
all the shoes I bought.
Exactly,
and
vice versa.
Credit card bill.
So even if you think, we know we'll stay together forever, this is one time where it can be very important. Sometimes spouses come in and say, you know what, my ex-spouse is crazy, and I don't want her coming after you, honey, for, claims of alimony or, new claims for child support and things like that. And it also can protect you if you say, look, if I go out and incur some new debt during our marriage, a premarital agreement, if it's done properly, can help protect you from being subject to that debt that you normally would be responsible for.
And how do you write that up? I mean, how do you include that? I mean, well, stuff that you buy while you're married. I mean,
it can be pretty simple. The law says that as long as a premarital agreement is recorded, like your deeds with the county recorder, everybody's put on notice if you put a provision in there that says, look, if I incur debt during our marriage, my spouse isn't responsible for it, and vice versa. And that can protect if someone wants to sue you, they can only sue one of you, which of course in a sense helps both of you.
Yeah, most people think of prenups as only involving assets. I want to keep my money to myself and your money for you, but really it's much more than that with debt.
It really goes beyond that, and you can see people in pretty modest situations. One spouse might have modest assets and the other one might have no assets in debt. And it can be very important for both of them to protect the person who has some modest assets from being sued on the other person's debts. And again, both people may be completely on the same page on this issue, but if you don't do it, and especially before you're married, because premarital agreements have some special recognition under the law where postmarital agreements don't.
Well, first of all, I did not even realize that there was such a thing as a postmarital.
Well, yeah, sometimes a married couple might say, look, let's agree how we own stuff and rearrange things. A lot of times it's to protect each other from debt. Sometimes it's to get tax advantages and things like that.
So you question why that wouldn't have been done before they got married?
It depends. Things change. Sometimes people don't get around to it. Sometimes the laws change, circumstances change.
Are premarital agreements still as popular as they were? A few years ago, they were all the talk, but it seems like they sort of died down because a lot of people just refuse to sign them, saying that, if you have to ask me to do that, you don't really love me.
Exactly. It's hard to say. I think we see a few less of them than we used to, but again, people have this idea that we're going to be fighting about stuff, setting up this agreement, where a lot of times it's, look, let's just disclose what's going on. Let's figure out how we're going to want to do things. And the two of you can agree in that agreement to do whatever you want. Sometimes one of the spouses can be very generous to the other one when they set that agreement up. So it doesn't have to be about not trusting each other. It can just be a plan for how your marriage is going to work financially.
It doesn't have to be unromantic.
It doesn't, no. We give you roses when you sign it. That takes the sting off of it, doesn't it?
All right, Craig. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.